Hello, this is Daniel Mart back again. I'm an actor and filmmaker based out of South Florida, and for this video, we're going to do another movie haul. Yeah, this is going to be one of those types of videos, one of those types of movie hauls where it's going to be split up across multiple times. So this is going to be part one of however many parts this movie haul is. And for this time around, I only got 5 movies. And yeah, I got these movies at the end of September. As you guys know from my previous movie haul video and from my previous video where I described the whole Barnes & Noble situation down here in Florida, in Miami. One of the new Barnes & Nobles that just opened recently in the past, I guess, month and a half now, they had a huge discount on movies. So on the last day that they still had the discount, I decided to buy a few more movies. So the first movie I bought here is A Different Man. I'll be honest, I haven't seen A Different Man yet. I've only seen 2 movies from the 5 movies I bought here. A Different Man is one of the movies I have not seen. This came out last year. I remember Sebastian Stan. He got a lot of Oscar buzz for this performance, but at the end he didn't get nominated for this performance. He got nominated for the Donald Trump movie that he did. And for those who don't know what this movie's about, it's about this actor born disfigured, I guess you could say, and then he gets a surgery, and after surgery he's not disfigured anymore. That's where Sebastian Stan comes in. Is the disfigured actor, has, I guess you could say, is Adam Pearson. The only other thing I know he was in is Under the Skin. that's where I know him from. I know Renata Rainsville. She's been pretty big in the past few years. Worst Person in the World is the real big thing that she's popped off with recently, but which I haven't seen, to be honest with you. I think she has another movie coming out later this year, which she's getting some Oscar attention for. So yeah, A Different Man. There you go. Next up, we picked up Flow, the Criterion release for Flow, and this is actually the 4K version of Flow. For those who know me, I don't really care to pick up the 4K versions of most movies, mostly because I don't have a 4K player. So like for me, buying a 4K is kind of pointless because I'm just going to be wasting an extra $10, $15 for something that I'm not going to use. That's why I usually just stick to Blu-rays. So this is like one of the few actual 4Ks I have. And the main reason I picked it up is just because of the slipcover. It's like, I like the fact that it's shiny, first off, but it's also the fact that it has a slipcover, you know, like that, with this going on there and the whole shininess of it all. You know, I did see the regular Blu-ray, but it's the thing that it was just a regular Blu-ray, no slipcover, just like a regular, you know, like a regular Criterion, like you know, that's like, let's say this copy of Criterion of Afterlife, it was literally just that. Like, instead of, you know, you just had the poster for Flow right there in the front, and that's it, like just your standard Blu-ray case. And I'm like, you know what, that seems kind of lackluster, if I'm being honest. So I spent the extra $10 on it for the 4K version of it. And that's really it, because I really like the slipcover. I don't know, it just seemed kind of random that it wouldn't get the slipcover because of the fact that it was just a regular Blu-ray. And granted, they do that with some releases as well. But I don't know, I find the way that Criterion does their slipcovers kind of weird sometimes, where sometimes they'll let the Blu-ray have a slipcover, like Do the Right Thing, they'll let that have a slipcover, for example. But then sometimes, such as with like Flow, for example, they'll only have the 4K have a slipcover. And then in some cases, they won't have either, like whether it be the 4K or the Blu-ray, neither of them will have a slipcover. So I just find that to be kind of random. And I really noticed it right now when I picked up Flow this go around, because I saw some of the other movies that were 4K versus Blu-ray, and how some of them had a slipcover, like Spinal Tap. That's when I noticed. And then of course Princess Bride. I'm not gonna lie, I thought Princess Bride came as a digibook, but no, the digibook is only if you buy the 4K, not the Blu-ray. Yeah, you learn something new every day. There you go. But yeah, that's why I picked up the 4K version of Flow, one of the few 4Ks I have in my entire collection. Next up, we have Gone with the Wind. And yeah, this is actually an upgrade for me. I do have Gone with the Wind as a DVD. The funny thing is that the version of Gone with the Wind that I have is actually like the Spanish version. I got it from Colombia, or better said, my grandma got it from Colombia, and then she gave it to me. Funny enough, the version of Gone with the Wind I have is like the Spanish version, you know, with all the, and so instead of Gone with the Wind, it says, "Lo que viento se llevó." You know, the back is Spanish stuff. Actually, let me show you that very fast. So yeah, here's the English version, Blu-ray by the way, and here's the Spanish version I have, which is on DVD. Lo que viento se llevó, con Clark Gable y Vivian Lee, dirigido por a director. Well, director's in English. That's pretty funny, because in Spanish it would be a director or a guion. Yeah, but director Victor Fleming. So that's pretty interesting how director's in English, but everything else is in Spanish. Like even the back, the description is in Spanish. So here we go. You know, slipcover you have it there as well. So I'll be honest, I may still keep this version of it because I just think it's pretty cool and random to have the Spanish version of Gone with the Wind. But you know, still good to have the upgrade right there. Next up, and this is a movie I haven't seen, like I've never seen it out there in the wild, and it's one that I feel like it's kind of hard to find in general, and that is Paprika. I know it's one of those top tier anime movies that everybody says you should watch. It was there for about $10 and a little bit more, or sorry, a little bit less because of the discount that they were having at Barnes & Nobles. That's why I got it. I've never seen this out in the wild. You know, I've seen it on Amazon a few times for like maybe a good 15, 20 bucks, but I've never really had that urge to buy it like that, if I'm being honest with you, because of the fact that it was there for less than 10 bucks because of the discount. I'm like, you know what, screw it, let me pick it up this time and just kind of go from there. And then the last movie I have here is actually a movie that came out this year, and that is Warfare. This this one kind of tripped me up, not gonna lie. I haven't seen it yet, but like when I saw it, the thing that tripped me up is the fact that both the 4K and the Blu-ray, they have two different slipcovers. It's not like A Different Man, where I saw the 4K version of this movie and it had the same slipcover. There's a few other movies where I saw the 4K and the Blu-ray version, and they had the same slipcover. For whatever reason, Warfare had two separate slipcovers, so it was kind of random. So it's because of that I almost bought the 4K version of it. And to be honest, like, both slipcovers are cool. Like, I'll be honest, like, this image for the slipcover is not my favorite, if I'm being completely honest with you, but it's like, none of them were like over. Like, the slipcover for the other one, it didn't have anything special that I'm like, oh, I need to buy it as a 4K instead of a Blu-ray, to be honest with you. There was nothing real special that stood out about it. So, you know, either way, pretty cool, and I'll watch this before the end of the year, because I know a lot of people really like this movie. I remember it got some Oscar buzz at the beginning of the year when it first came out, but I think at this point it's just petered out to just like maybe some tech nominations, mostly like in sound or editing or stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically what I picked up for this go around, which is Warfare, A Different Man, Paprika, Lo que viento se llevó, and Flow. So yeah, we'll see what I pick up next time, starting now. Alright, so we're back. It's been about a week, maybe 2 weeks since the previous portion that you just saw, and I picked up a few more movies, 5 more movies to be exact. So yeah, let's just get into it. So in this case, I picked up 4 Blu-rays and 1 DVD, and as you can see right there, the first Blu-ray we have here is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. So yeah, this came out, what, like a year, 2 years ago already at this point? And honestly, I thought this was a really fun movie, really great movie, honestly. I am a huge fan of the Ninja Turtles in general, to be completely honest with you. I started off with the 1980s series. I had the original season 1 DVD set. Over time, I've seen most of the series. I eventually bought the complete series of that. I've seen some of the 2003 Turtles, some of the 2012 Turtles, and I have a few of the collections right here, because this is right where my T section is, somewhere around here. So, you know, I am a huge fan of the Turtles. Of course, the movies, the original live-action ones, plus TMNT from, 2007, 2008, that anime movie as well. And overall, I've always just been a huge fan of the Turtles. I do have some of their other shows, a live-action show that they did back in, the early 2000s, where they tried to introduce Venus, I believe. I have some of those episodes in, volume packs. I haven't seen those yet, to be completely honest with you, but, you know, most everything else I've seen to some degree as well. I know they had a crossover with the Power Rangers also at one point. I'm pretty sure that's part of that live action series as well. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of Turtles, and I saw this and I thought it was really cool. I honestly really liked it. I almost feel like it's underrated. I feel like not many people talk about this already anymore, especially when it comes to the larger TMNT franchise. I feel like even the TMNT movie from 2007, people talk about it a lot more than this movie, surprisingly enough. If I'm not mistaken, this was supposed to be almost like a pilot, so to speak, to an animated show afterwards. And I'm not sure if that show was ever made. I never actually saw a follow-up to it. Maybe it was made and there was a follow-up to it and I just, I missed it. But, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm much more of a fan of the 1980s stuff, if I'm being completely honest with you. That's what I grew up on. So a lot of this newer stuff, it's not that I'm against it or don't like it, but I just don't connect with it as much as the older stuff. I mean, that's what it really comes down to it. I do one of these days where I just want to sit down and binge watch the 2003 series. I do one of these days just want to binge watch the 2012-13 series from Nickelodeon. I believe it also technically had a sequel series, or give or take around 2018 to 2020, somewhere around there. They had a sequel series as well. One of these days I would kind of just want to sit down and watch all that stuff as well. But again, I mostly grew up on the 1980s stuff. And I'll be honest, even the 1980s stuff, I haven't seen the whole series. Mostly because when I first started collecting movies, there's a really weird thing with seasons 4, 5, and 6, I want to say, where I think season 4 is for some ridiculous reason, it's super big, because each season averages about 20-25 episodes average. For whatever reason, season 4, it's 50 episodes. I don't know what was going on there. And then the way they decided to split it up, it's volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And just the way they kind of did that was kind of weird. So for the longest time, I hadn't seen seasons 5 and 6, I want to say, or maybe even season 7. So those are the seasons I never saw at the end. Now I have the whole series, so now I really have no excuse to have never seen the series in full. But one of these days, eventually I'll go watch the full series. But yeah, TMNT, I'm a huge fan of TMNT in general. Even that the crossover stuff they did. That one crossover episode they did with TMNT, I think the 2012 series, the Nickelodeon series that they had with the original Image Comics versions. I remember, or something like that. I remember that was a little, not spin-off, but a little episode story arc thing that they had there. So that, again, I'm a huge fan of TMNT. I have some of their comics. My comic book boxes are right there, the white box right there. yeah, I mean, I have some of their comics. I have some of their volumes as well. So I'm a huge fan of TMNT. It's one of those things I just grew up with. And honestly, this is good. The animation is great. Again, it's that Into the Spider-Verse type of animation. Puss in Boots, the new one, type of animation, the bad guys type of animation. So I think it really works well here. And honestly, the voice cast for this is like also low-key just kind of insane as well. Next up on the superhero train, we have Zack Snyder's Justice League. I saw Justice League, Joss Whedon, Justice League when it first came out in theaters, and I had fun with it. If I'm being completely honest with you, I had fun with it, but I just didn't think much of it. I've just never been the biggest fan of the DCEU, or the original DCEU before James Gunn came in and is rebooting everything right now. Man of Steel, I think is a very meh movie. I really don't care for Man of Steel. I think it's very average. I find it just be kind of average, if I'm being honest with you. And of course, some of the movies afterwards are very much hit and miss. Superman versus Batman, or Batman versus Superman. I mean, yes, we could go on with the whole Martha and how that splits up the fight. Sure, but like overall, I thought that movie was better, but not by much, if I'm being honest with you. There's also that whole debate, is this the real Batman or is this our version of Batman or whatever? Like, sure, whatever. Like, I'll be honest, a lot of those DCEU movies I think are either just average to, or just not even average to bad, just like simply average. I think some of the standouts are the first Wonder Woman, not Wonder Woman 1984. I think that's actually one of the worst movies ever made, period, in like all of cinema history. I think Wonder Woman 1984 is one of the worst movies ever, period. But with the first Wonder Woman, that's actually a really good movie. To be honest with you, I actually like the Aquaman. I've only seen the first Aquaman, so I like Aquaman. Blue Beetle I thought was really good. The two Shazam movies are actually pretty good in my opinion. The Flash wasn't completely bad. In my opinion, it's average, but a little bit better than like some of these other stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I liked the Suicide Squad movies. I had fun with the first one. I had fun with it, So there's that, but it's not really a good movie. So I don't know. Like again, we all know the DCEU was a mess, and of course, there's a reason why the Justice League is the Justice League with all the behind-the-scenes issues. The fact that they allowed Zack Snyder to finally come out with this is just fantastic. I know it's like 4 hours long. Look, I'll be honest, I haven't seen this movie yet. I've only seen the original Justice League version, and even that just the one time when I was in theaters. I'll be honest, I had fun with the movie. It's one of those movies one of those things that this was so far back that I can't really tell you if I really liked the movie or not. Or I just was kind of like, yeah, I have fun, but it's not really a good movie type of thing. So, one of these days, maybe I'll pick up Justice League and, do a compare and contrast, for myself, not on video, but like do a compare and contrast, like, oh, so this is what changed aside from like the runtime, So hopefully I get to that one day. I mean, I feel like if I ever watch this movie, it'll have to be like me binge watching all the DCEU movies on top of that. Granted, this is like the third movie in that franchise, so take your pick. I don't know, but I finally got it. Oh, by the way, all these movies, aside from one of them, was $10 on top of that, by the way. We are in October, so now we have some Halloween movies, or not from the Halloween franchise, just some horror movies. So the first one we have here is The Black Phone, the first one. Yeah, this movie popped off really well. To be honest with you, I haven't seen it yet. And this movie came out, 1 or 2 years ago? A lot of people really like this movie. I'm pretty sure we have one coming out right now, Black Phone 2 coming out like pretty soon, later this month. And, that's honestly why I picked it up. We're in the Halloween season, scary season, horror season. We're in October. Might as well pick up a few more horror movies to go watch during this time of year. I know a lot of people really like this movie. Again, I haven't seen this movie, but I'll be honest, I do know the twist that happens at the end. It kind of got spoiled for me. Go figure. It is what it is. The one thing I don't like about this is I just don't like how this like Blu-ray bar thing like right there's on the top. Also, the paper's a little bit misaligned. I'm not sure if you could see it right there. That's a little bit misaligned. So maybe I fix it right now, but that's really it. I usually don't comment on like the paper. Maybe if it's misaligned, that's one thing, but like I don't know, the quality of the paper, if that makes sense, or like what graphics they put on the paper. I'll be honest, I really just don't like how that's there. If this had a slip cover, then sure, put that on top, I guess. But I don't know, something about it just, I don't know, it seems kind of weird, in my opinion. I just don't like that bar on the top. Next up, and the last of the Blu-rays, because the last thing I picked up was a DVD, but the last of the Blu-rays, and this is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'll be honest, I've never seen any of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, and this is the 40th anniversary edition. And yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say because I've never seen the movie. I'll be honest with you, I've never seen Texas Chainsaw. It's one of those blind spots for me in horror, especially classic horror. I've never seen Texas Chainsaw, so I can't really give you much of an opinion. I haven't seen any Texas Chainsaw stuff, period. I mean, I know Matthew McConaughey, is it Matthew McConaughey and like Renee Zellweger that appeared like in the third one one or fourth one, like Texas Chainsaw New Generation or whatever that one's called. You know, there's Leatherface from like what, 2007. I believe they had another Texas Chainsaw movie a few years ago where they killed off the final girl from this movie, which was kind of random. Again, Texas Chainsaw is not one of those things I'm like really much into because I've never seen it. I'll be honest, as much as I love horror, ironically enough or weirdly enough, it takes a lot for me to like want to get invested in a horror series, especially one of those long running ones. Like Black Phone here, like you have 2 movies, cool, I'll watch them back to back, it is what it is. But Texas Chainsaw, like it's a series that has like multiple movies, like at least 6-7 movies in that franchise. Like I don't know, something about it I'm just not as attracted to and invest my time. Same thing happens with like Chucky. Like I've only seen the first Chucky. Nightmare on Elm Street, only seen the first Nightmare on Elm Street. Halloween, okay, Halloween, I've seen a few of the Halloween movies. Like I've seen Halloween's 1, 2, and 3, and even that third one isn't really connected to Michael Myers. It's its own separate thing. And then I saw the remake of Halloween from 2018, and that's really it. That's as far as my Halloween knowledge goes. So like for me, I don't know why. I don't know why, but it just takes a lot for me to like want to invest in a horror series, which is weird because when it comes to like other genres, like I don't really have that problem with other genres. Granted, I don't feel like most genres have that issue. Like the only other genre is maybe action I can think of, and like the Fast and Furious franchise is the only one that pops into mind. But even then, like the Fast and Furious movies, I just don't care for the Fast and Furious movies in general. Like I've seen the first one and I've seen the 7th one. The one where Paul Walker, that honored Paul Walker. Unless it's like a trilogy or something small, I'm usually not that inclined to invest myself in like franchises. I guess with Mission Impossible, I really don't care for Mission Impossible. That's a weird thing for me. Like I like singular movies sometimes, so that's why I've only usually seen like the first movie in the franchise, which is weird because I do have the Chucky collection. I do have the Saw collection. Okay, another series I've only seen the first movie of. I do have the Saw collection. You know, Chucky collection, Saw collection. What other collections are there? I don't have the Halloween collection, but still, like, I don't know, for me, it's kind of a weird thing. The only franchise, that's why I say Final Destination is my favorite franchise, because that's, like, one of the few series in general that I've decided to invest my time in. Like, cause outside of that, like, I mean, you have trilogies, like, the original Night of the Living Dead stuff, the original Romero stuff. Again, that's 3 movies, so, like, sure, I mean, outside of that, John Wick, but I was watching those as they came out, so... Yeah, I don't know why. That's one of those things I can't really explain to you why. I mean, there's the MCU, but like after a while, like I'll be honest, I haven't seen Miss Marvel or the show. I've seen the show Miss Marvel. I haven't seen Captain Marvel 2, whatever. I haven't seen Captain Marvel 2. I haven't seen Thunderbolts or New Avengers or whatever they want to call it now. I haven't seen Fantastic Four. So I haven't seen the last few movies. Now I think about it. So like franchise fatigue. That's why I prefer just single movies or like short series. Like a trilogy. So again, when Black Phone 2 comes out, I'll just do that double feature of Black Phone and Black Phone 2, and there's still paper here. Cool. That's really it on my little rant on franchises. And again, this is gonna take a long time for me to watch because low-key I'd want to watch all the DCEU movies, and who knows when I'm gonna pick up all the DCEU movies. Like I mean I think outside of this, the only other DCEU movies I have are the 2 Shazams and the Flash. I think the 2 Shazams and the Flash, and I think that's really it that I have from DCEU movies I can think off the top of my head. And if not, there's my correction, but yeah. And now let's get on to the only DVD I picked up, and that is The Book of Daniel. Damn, I wonder why I picked this up, Daniel. Damn, Daniel. Y'all remember that meme? Damn, Daniel, back at it again with the white vans. That was so annoying back in high school. But yeah, picked up The Book of Daniel, which features Lance Henriksen, which, not gonna lie, I thought he died. I thought Lance Henriksen was already dead. Not gonna lie. Apparently, I confused him with Roy Hautinger, the guy who played Roy Batty in Blade Runner. I confused those 2 actors. Funny enough, Lance doesn't even portray Daniel. He portrays Cyrus. Andrew Bongiorno, who actually portrays Daniel here. So yeah, the Book of Daniel, it's based off the Bible story, the Book of Daniel. And yes, Daniel is a book in the Bible, if you can't tell by now. And honestly, for me, Daniel... And not just because of the name, but Daniel is one of my favorite books in the Bible in general. And again, not just because of the name, it's a great book. I mean, this image here features Daniel standing in front of the lion, the hungry lion, and him not being eaten. I think that's one of the more powerful stuff in that book. The other powerful story in the Book of Daniel is, of course, the 3 guys, the 3 characters standing inside the oven and being burned alive, I guess you could say, but not really, because God is with them, protecting them, and that whole thing. So I think that's also another beautiful story. I know I just blinked down on the guys. It's Meshach, I'm pretty sure I'm definitely mispronouncing this right now, but what is it? Meshach, Abinabong. Yeah, I'm blinking out on the names right now. Like I have a semblance of the names right now, but like Abinabob. being a god, I've probably corrected myself 5 times over by now, but those are the characters. And actually, does it say back here? No, it doesn't say. It has Nebuchadnezzar. So that's like the main ruling king during this time. So overall, pretty good. And I mean, yeah, that's honestly why I picked it up. It's biblical, has my name on it. Really, that's it. And not gonna lie, when I picked this up though, I thought for a moment, I would pick this up regardless. By the way, I would have picked this up regardless. But for a moment, I thought this was the live recording of the Book of Daniel that Sight and Sound produced last year. So for those who don't know, Sight and Sound, they are a Christian theater, like live theater, like play theater, and I want to say like in Missouri or Kentucky or somewhere around there, and they produce biblical plays. So they've done the Book of Daniel, and they did the crucifixion, for example, of course, a bunch of other stuff. And I thought this was a live recording of their play version of Book of Daniel, which I'm not gonna lie, I saw that like twice last year, and both times I fell asleep, to be honest with you. So there is a part of me that kind of wants to check it out again, but I don't know why. Like, both times, it's not that I was tired either. It's one of those things that it quite literally just bored me to sleep, which is funny because I was, ironically, despite being my namesake in a sense, despite that, I was the only one who didn't enjoy it. So go figure. Also, I saw some interviews with some of the actors, and there's, I think it was the guy who actually portrayed Daniel. One of his responses really threw me off, and it just seemed a very prideful response, and that really kind of turned me off from his portrayal of Daniel. I was already kind of weirded out of his portrayal of Daniel, or it's something I really kind of felt off, and then he did I saw the interview, and it's one of those things I just felt like that's a very prideful answer. What was that? It was a very prideful answer. And I remember I talked to some of my brothers, in the church, and they're like, "That's not really prideful." I'm like, "Are you sure?" And I've gone back to that interview. I'm like, I don't know. That seems like a very prideful answer. I don't know. If I find the interview, I'll link it down below. And you guys tell me if that's a prideful answer or not. But I've seen that interview. I don't know how many times, and every single time, it just seems like a very prideful answer. Almost like, oh, I did this by my own power. Oh no, yeah. By the way, thank you, God. That's almost how it came off to me, in a sense. And he wasn't the only actor that kind of gave weird responses. I remember a few of the other actors also kind of gave weird responses, but he was the first one that I noticed gave that weird response, and more so because he was portraying Daniel himself. So they do good work. I'm not gonna lie, Sight and Sound does good work, despite the fact that I did fall asleep in my own namesake. So go figure. But yeah, they're good. They're big. A lot of people like them. If anything, then I'll be in the minority. Go figure. It is what it is. But yeah, that's what I picked up so far. And this was $5. This was $10, and I picked everything here up on Walmart, by the way. There was a few of the stuff I wanted to pick up, not gonna lie. They had the Jaws collection, the Jaws 2, 3, and 4 Blu-ray collection for $12. But both copies that they had there, I don't know what was going on, but you could hear the disc shake, as if it was loose. Almost as if it was shaking inside. This one I purposely just took out of its little plug to give you the example. But yeah, both copies that I picked up from Jaws collection, that 2, 3, and 4 collection, I don't know, both the discs just sounded loose, so I decided not to pick it up. Another thing I kind of considered picking up, not gonna lie, is the Hunger Games collection, especially now that they included Battle of Songbirds and Snakes in that collection. I was tempted in buying that collection, not gonna lie, but I didn't feel like I needed it, if I'm being honest with you. Same thing with the John Wick collection. But the John Wick collection, I already have all 4 John Wick movies. The only thing I would need to do is upgrade John Wick 1 into Blu-ray, because I have that as a DVD. The other 3 movies, 2, 3, and 4, I have as Blu-rays. So the only thing I would need to do is pick up John Wick, the first John Wick 1 as a Blu-ray. And I guess Ballerina whenever it comes up, but look, I'll be honest, I haven't seen Ballerina, and Ballerina features Ana de Armas, which I just find to be one of the most boring, blandest wooden actresses ever. I still don't know how the hell she got nominated for an Oscar for Blonde, on top of the fact that just being one of the worst movies ever made, but that's a whole different discussion for another time. But yeah, maybe I'll pick that one up in the future, maybe just because I'm a completionist. But yeah, not gonna lie, that box, it does look pretty cool, but I would just need to, realistically, I just need to upgrade John Wick, the first one. And not gonna lie, the slipcovers for the individual releases are pretty cool. I actually like the slipcovers for the individual releases, so I don't know. But the Hunger Games ones, that's one I would consider picking up, mostly because the first 2 movies, Hunger Games and Catch a Fire, I had them as DVDs, and then Mockingjays Part 1 and 2 I have as Blu-rays, and then I don't even have Songbirds and Snakes. Yeah, I don't have Battle of Songbirds and Steaks. That's one I may consider picking up, to be honest with you. Keyword there is may. The thing is, I love the box sets, not gonna lie, but like if I only need to upgrade a few of the movies, I don't feel it's that beneficial to like pick it up if that makes sense. So I don't know. That's almost like we'll see what happens in the future. But like those were the only other two things I kind of consider picking up. And yeah, I saw at Walmart, and they always have this at Walmart, but I don't know why I noticed it this time. Maybe it's because I went to a different Walmart than I usually go to. But I saw it at this Walmart. They had a few other collections I usually don't see. So like another thing I kind of did consider picking up, because it was there for a good price, was the Magnificent Seven original quadrilogy collection for on Blu-ray, which I have as DVDs. I don't know where it is here in the collection. Probably somewhere here because it's the Magnificent Seven. So yeah, I have it there on the top shelf. So that's one I did consider picking up, not gonna lie, as well. Upgrading that from DVD to Blu-ray. So maybe that one, that's one I wouldn't mind upgrading, to be honest with you. So that was pretty cool. And then another collection I saw was the Chucky collection, which I did buy last year. I did not like how that collection turned out. I got the DVD collection, so the one they had there was on Blu-ray. And it's one of those things I probably would have just paid the same price, I think, because I think I got this one for like $20, whereas the upgrade would have been about $20, so a little bit, maybe a little bit higher, I don't know. Yeah, for those who don't know, I picked that up last year. Just last year, I had a lot of issues with Amazon, that being one of the issues I had with Amazon, as well with getting that Chucky collection. And the only reason I didn't buy it on Blu-ray is because it was like $40 as a Blu-ray versus about $15-20 through Amazon. And I'm like, I'm not that big a fan of Chucky, so I'll stick with the DVD version. But on there when I went to Walmart, it was there for about $20 as a Blu-ray set. So I don't know, maybe those two I'll upgrade for sure. I'm just gonna go from there. But yeah, that's basically for now. That's enough of my ranting. But yeah, that's basically it for now. So yeah, I guess now we just wait and see until what I pick up next. All right, so I'm back with this haul. The way things are shaping out, looking out, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be my Black Friday haul, more or less. So I'm probably gonna end up posting this video in December. So right now I'm filming this portion of the video right here at the end of October 21st, I think today's the date. So the other portions of the videos, they were filmed at the end of September and the beginning of October. This portion of the video is going to be filmed right now on the 21st, 22nd, whatever day we're at right now in October. And then who knows what else I'm going to film. But yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure this is going to be my Black Friday haul, the way things are looking out. So if you saw one of my previous videos, because I'm not really sure when it was posted in comparison to this video, but in one of my recent-ish videos, I did a vlog, showing the opening of another Barnes & Nobles. As of the point that I'm posting this video at the end of November or early December, about 2 or 3 months ago, the Kendall Drive Barnes & Nobles shut down. When that happened, 2 more Barnes & Nobles opened up. One of them is right across from the Falls, and that one opened up around the same time that the Kendall Drive Barnes & Nobles was closing, and I did a whole vlog for that. You can see that vlog at the end when I do the end cards and all that good stuff. However, now, in October 15th, they opened the second Barnes & Nobles, which is right there in Country Walk. If you guys want to check out that video, go ahead. I went there, checked it out, and I wasn't that impressed with the layout. I wasn't that impressed with what they were giving, what they were showing. Apparently there was discounts for the movies, but they weren't really advertising it. And given the fact that the majority of stuff that would have been discounted is Criterion, I'm like, let me just wait about a week and a half once it's November, because once November hits, it's gonna be the Criterion Barnes & Noble's 50% off sale. And that's on top of the fact that we also have Black Friday in this whole mix. So I didn't really pick up anything there in regards to Criterion, but I did pick up one movie, which I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was gonna be a lot more expensive, because the other thing with this Barnes & Nobles is that for whatever reason, they weren't really advertising the fact that we have sales going on for physical media. So the movie that I picked up was originally slated to be $35. So I'm like, screw it, I'll pay the $35 and kind of go from there. But no, because there's a 40% discount, I got it for about $20. And the movie I got was the Steelbook of The Crow. So yeah, pretty cool Steelbook in my opinion, but here's the thing, this Steelbook is only for the 4K. I bought this with the intention of upgrading my Blu-ray, my regular Blu-ray case, to at least a Steelbook Blu-ray, you know what I mean? I knew this had the 4K in it, but I thought it was one of those things where it has the 4K and Blu-ray. Turns out it only had the Blu-ray. It turns out it only had the 4K. So what I did, essentially, was I shoved my Blu-ray version of The Crow into here. I basically shoved it in here, and then the case that remained, the regular Blu-ray case that remained for The Crow, I basically disassembled it, took out the paper and whatever, and used it for Bambi. For whatever reason, Bambi, this version of Bambi that I got, the Blu-ray, the Diamond Deluxe Edition of Bambi, for whatever reason, came in a DVD case. So then I transferred my Bambi stuff into this Blu-ray case, and Yes, there is some jiggling in there because the nub for the Blu-ray case is small, and I have both the Blu-ray and the DVD of Bambi, so kind of just have to contend with it. But yeah, that's what I did. If you guys want more information on that, go check out my previous Barnes & Noble's video to get more insights on that, because I kind of went a little bit more expansive on that. But that's what I did. So I picked up the Steelbook for The Crow, which honestly for $20, it's worth the price. I'm not gonna lie. I just kind of wish that it would have brought the Blu-ray as well. But I guess, you know, the silver lining, I finally put my version of Bambi in a proper Blu-ray case. Even if I did have to cut up the actual, you know, the poster, or whatever this paper is. It would just seem very random for me to have a Blu-ray in the DVD section. So now I have this properly cataloged, so to speak. And that shaking, I guess I'm just going to have to contend with. At Barnes & Noble's, I also picked up one other item, and this was full price. It is what it is. And that is a puzzle for my mom. So maybe I save this till Christmas. I guess, I don't know, early Christmas shopping. Go from there. I like cats, so that's why we do puzzles, and it's all about cats. And that's what I picked up from Barnes & Noble's, the Crow Steelbook plus the cat's puzzle, plus the cat's puzzle. And yeah, I forget if I showed this in the other haul, now I think about it. But I also picked up, at some point, these bookmarks for cats, these cat bookmarks. I still haven't opened it yet, but I have them hit there, kind of just like leaning against my window sill with a bunch of other random crap that I have there. So I don't know if I showed that in my previous haul, but I just saw it there, so I'm like, yeah, let me show it very quick. Why not? I probably did, I just don't remember, but it is what it is. Now you get to see it again. So that's all I got from Barnes & Noble's. The other thing I decided to do is I decided to go to another thrift shop. This is not Goodwill. Usually I go to Goodwill because usually those are the only thrift shops that we have here down in Miami. However, outside of Goodwill, we do have another chain called American Thrift, and there's one about 15 minutes away from my house, and I decided to go there for the first time. I've never been there. I've gone past it a few times, but I've never really had the intention of going there. I've always been curious to go inside, better said, but I've never gone inside until now. Yeah, I decided to go there, and I'm not gonna lie, it's one of those things I was both impressed in some aspects, but like very let down in other aspects. I was very much impressed with like the layout they had, with all the amount of stuff they had. They had a bunch of stuff that you usually do not see at thrift stores. At Goodwill, like they had a bunch of VHSs, they had a bunch of audiobooks and cassettes. I saw the Godfather trilogy on VHS. Like that was kind of wild to me, to be honest with you. I saw all the seasons of Friends on DVD. So like I saw some stuff that I usually do not see, period. And for pretty good price. I mean, VHSs are pretty, like, depending on where you go, they could be, the prices for them could be kind of wild sometimes, if you catch my drift. When I went to the store, I was kind of going with the idea of, let me not buy any DVDs. Let me buy Blu-rays. That's the thing. I don't really want to buy that many DVDs anymore unless I absolutely need to. So what I've been doing this year when I'm buying Blu-rays, especially like at Goodwill, is if I find something to upgrade from like The Crow here, and let's say I had the DVD version of The Crow. Okay, cool. Now I'm upgrading from DVD to Blu-ray, at least that. That's kind of my intention. I really don't want to buy that many DVDs anymore, so I've really cut back down on buying DVDs. So I still got 2 DVDs, and then the rest were Blu-rays. Thing is, they didn't have that many Blu-rays. They really didn't have that many Blu-rays. So I basically picked most of the Blu-rays they had, if I'm being honest, which was a few of them. There was like a few other stuff. There was a few of the Blu-rays that they did have, I just didn't pick up. Like they had a 2018 Stanley Cup like hockey championship game Blu-ray. I'm not into sports like that, so I decided not to pick it up. They had Now You See Me on Blu-ray, but it kind of seemed like a bootleg copy. And look, I'll be honest with you, I have bootleg copies. That's a whole different discussion for another time, but I just didn't want to risk it, if I'm being completely honest. They had Freebird, that animated movie from I think last year or the year before. But what I mean had is because whoever grabbed the disc, they jacked the disc, they stole the disc and left the case like there. If you catch my drift, there was a few other stuff they had there. I just either wasn't that interested, or just wasn't that interested in getting, or I just didn't care for it. I mean, either way, it's same difference. But I did pick up a few Blu-rays and again 2 DVDs. The first Blu-ray I picked up here is Molly's Game, which I thought this was a Netflix exclusive, if I'm being completely honest with you. I remember I really liked this movie when I first saw it, but yeah, I was kind of surprised to see this, because could be wrong, but I was pretty sure this was like a Netflix exclusive, and Netflix usually they don't put their movies out on Blu-ray or for physical media in general. Like there are some exceptions, like Stranger Things. The first 2 seasons of Stranger Things are of course on Blu-ray and that VHS special packaging. I know Marriage Story is on, it's in the Criterion Channel, Criterion Collection, so like that's a hell of an exception. But I was kind of surprised when I saw this, so you know, maybe I'm wrong in it being a Netflix exclusive, but I could have sworn it was. In terms of upgrades, I upgraded the Phantom of the Opera. I do like this version of Phantom of the Opera. Gerard Butler, he actually did a pretty good job at singing. I think there's like some criticism in his singing, especially when you compare his singing to the original guy who sings, or who sung him on Broadway, because Phantom of the Opera is no longer on Broadway. I think it's still in the West End in London, but they took it off Broadway like 2 years ago now, which was, I know was a huge thing. Generally speaking, he's a good singer, but I think when you compare him to like some of the other performances like on Broadway, on the West End, etc., etc., etc. He doesn't really compete, so to speak. But yeah, I haven't seen this movie in a good minute, and I mean, we're still in October, so hey, maybe I just put it in for this season. It's still a horror movie. Next up, we have Let's Be Cops. And not gonna lie, I kind of confused this with another movie. I confused this with End of Watch. I kind of just absentmindedly picked this up thinking it was End of Watch, and it wasn't until I got home right now and I took them out of the bag that I'm like, oh, it's Let's Be Cops, not End of Watch. It is what it is. I mean, all these movies were about $2 each, so I'm not complaining that much, if I'm being honest with you, so it kind of just is what it is. We have Zootopia. Not gonna lie, I thought I already had Zootopia. The one thing that does kind of annoy me, and it happened with Phantom as well, and I think there's one other movie, one of the DVDs has it as well, but they put the price like right there on the side. Pricing is kind of weird because it almost reads like $10.50 or $2.01, depending like what way you want to read it. Same thing with Phantom. I mean, again, these are all $2 at the end, but like that, I'm not gonna lie, that kind of annoys me. I don't know if there's a way to like scrub that. Going on with the Disney of it all, I also picked up Moana. How did I just pronounce? I think I just pronounced that weirdly. Moana. I've seen this once, kind of in the background. If I'm being honest with you, it's one of those things that I was back when I was still doing films. I was in a production meeting, and the producer's daughter, like a small child, like 3 or 4 years old, they're just watching Moana right there on the TV, and it was one of those things I was just kind of watching it while I was having this meeting, because this was, at this guy's house. So, like, that's really the only time I've actually seen Moana, which I guess it's a good time to pick it up, because next year, I think both Moana 2 and live action Moana come out, which, bro, this movie's, what, 10 years old, right? And it's already getting a live action version of it? Like, that's kind of wild, and like in the worst way possible. That's kind of wild. And last but not least, here for the Blu-rays, I have Avatar, the Blue People Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar. I've only seen this movie once, not when it first came out, but I want to say like maybe 2011, 2012, because this came out, what, 2010, 2009, so yeah, like a few years after it came out on TV, and even then I saw the Spanish version of it, if I'm not mistaken, and even then I don't think I saw the whole thing. I think I just saw parts, like the beginning of it, before I like quite literally fell asleep. So that was the first time I saw it, and then I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I haven't seen like the full, like that's the, I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen the full movie. But it's one of those things that I'm not really that interested in watching the full movie, so that's why I've never picked it up. But hey, I saw Avatar there for $2. Whatever, might as well pick it up, and I'll watch it in full eventually one of these days. Now onto the 2 DVDs. First off, like I said, I like cats a lot. So this is why I picked it up. The Adventures of Milo and Aunt Otis. It's kind of funny that Milo is an orange cat. Garfield and Otis. No, it's Otis? Odie. That's the dog in Garfield, Odie. But yeah, I mean, I straight up just picked it up because there's a cat. The casing kind of sucks because I'm not sure if you can see that, but that is wrecked to hell right there. It is what it is. I like cats. What do you want me to say? And then last but not least, I found this to be very interesting, and this is the Fanny trilogy. This also goes by the Marcel trilogy, I want to say. I'm pretty sure this is out of print. When I was searching, this is from Kino Lorber. So when I was searching this up, I couldn't really find this anywhere. I found a few copies of this on eBay for between like $20 and $50. So I'm guessing this is out of print. I went on Kino Lorber and they don't really have this collection anymore. I'm not sure how old this collection is. It says 2007, so maybe it came out in 2007. It's one of those things, like, you kind of think some of these companies like Kino Lorber, Arrow, Shout Factory, whatever, Criterion, they're like, you almost think that these are like pretty young companies, like, oh, from like the past 10 to 15 years. Like, no, some of these companies are like old, from like the 90s, 80s, you know what I mean? It's just the way that media has been distributed in the past couple of years, and past decade has really expanded. But yeah, so I'm guessing this is from about 2007. I picked it up and it just seemed pretty interesting, pretty cool. I did find that Criterion also has their own version of this collection. There is that, if I ever feel like picking it up. But right now, I'm content with just this collection. I did, again, like I said, I searched it up online, and this is supposed to come with like a slipcover, which clearly it didn't come with a slipcover. So there is that, and it seems like it has a poster of the middle movie here, of the Fanny movie here. So yeah, those are the 3 movies here. It's Marius, Fanny, and Caesar. I want to say this is probably Italian, now I think about it. It's written by Marcel Pagnol, directed by Alexandre Corda, Marc Allegert. I'm guessing it's Italian. Commentary by Bertrand Tavernier. So yeah, it seems Italian. Oh no, French. Licensed by the campaign Compagnie Méditerranéenne de Films Paris. Okay, it's French. Never mind, it's French. Classic French cinema. Kind of just random right there out in the wild. Again, for $2. Something that's out of print. Sure, like, even if I get the Criterion version of this one day, if I ever remember to get the Criterion version of this one day, I may still keep this just because of the fact that this is out of print. So yeah, that's basically it. Oh wait, one more thing. And the last thing I picked up is a book, and that is The Real Jewish Century of Jewish Movies, Comedy, Tragedy, Musical Dramas And yeah, again, I just like going through these like random movie books, so to speak, and pretty cool. I did flip through some of the pages, and there's stuff that I've already seen here. For those who don't know or have seen or who have seen some of my previous videos, I have the Jewish collection from Kino Lorber, the 10 movie Jewish collection, and they discuss some of those movies here in this book, like the Die Book, for example, and some other movies from that collection in this book. So yeah, it's just pretty cool. It's one of those things that Jewish cinema isn't something that's widely discussed in general, so that's why I picked up way back when that collection from Kino Lorber, especially because, you know, that's stuff you don't really hear about, you don't really see about. And then I found this book out in the wild, so pretty cool. And I like how the slipcover, or the jacket, better said, it's like reversible. Like you can see the title on both sides, so that's pretty cool too. Yeah, just pretty cool. It seemed like a pretty cool book. Why not pick it up? I get more film history knowledge out of it and just kind of go from there. So yeah, that's basically what I got for this part of the video. And yeah, we'll see what comes up next. See you whenever. Alright, we are back on the haul train right now. We just started November a few days ago, so you know what that means, the Criterion sale at Barnes & Nobles. I don't know if it's just me, but it seemed to have started just a little bit later than usual. I feel like every single time Barnes & Nobles does their Criterion sale, they start like on the first, second, third day of the month. This month, they didn't start for like a week after, until the 7th. So, you know, the Criterion sale at this point has only been around for about 4 or 5 days as of the time that I'm filming this video. So I don't know, for me that seemed just a little bit late. Maybe that's just not me really paying attention though. Maybe they usually do start like a week later, but I feel like they always started on the first day. So I already picked up a bunch of movies. This many movies, I'm not gonna tell you which one so far, but yeah, I basically went to 2 Barnes & Nobles, the one that's right here by my house, and then the other one, the new one that just opened up about a month and a half ago. I think by the time I post this video, I've already done a vlog style video saying, hey, here's the grand opening of this new Barnes & Nobles, because again, this goes into the whole wider history of Miami, so to speak. A few months ago, at this point, that I'm releasing this video, probably at the end of November or early December, the Kendall Drive Barnes & Nobles, that was shut down because Rooms to Go, for whatever godforsaken reason, they decided to kill Barnes & Nobles and take up that store. So Barnes & Nobles, they decided to open up 2 new stores, one by the Falls, which is close to where I live, and then another one still on Kendall Drive, just in this area that I'm not particularly a big fan of, despite the fact that I've already gone there 2 or 3 times since then. I think the trick is just to go during a time that's not that busy. I think that's the best time to go, because parking in that area is also kind of absolute hell. Yeah, I've picked up 9 movies. The first 4 are from the Barnes & Nobles that's right by my house, and then the next 5 are from the newer Barnes & Nobles. So the first movie I have here is Lahane. So this is a movie I've been meaning to watch for a long time, honestly. It's one that I've really been interested in watching. I don't know that much about it. I know a lot of people compare it to American History X. I'm not sure how amped that comparison is, to be honest with you, but it does seem like a very interesting comparison. And I do have American History X somewhere here. Yeah, maybe that'd be a cool double feature. Again, I've been meaning to pick it up for some time. It's one that I've been wanting to watch for some time, especially in terms of French cinema. This is from 1995. Not gonna lie, I thought this movie would have been a lot newer. I feel like this is, like, I think 95 is like where right there on the cutoff of where I thought this movie was from. I thought this was somewhere between 95 and 2005, somewhere around that area, so yeah, 95 makes sense. Alright, these next 3 movies all came out this year, actually. They're all from 2025. Like, this one's been around for, pretty sure, a bunch of years, probably a decade at this point. But these next 3 are all from the collection. They were all added into the collection this year, during the same season, I want to say, or like during the same time, honestly. First one here, and this is one that I've been not meaning to check out, but it's one that I've been interested in. Again, I've been watching a lot of the Criterion Closet videos that they post on YouTube, and this is one that ever since it was added to the collection, it's one that a lot of people pick up, and that is Thelonious Monk. Straight No Chaser. This is a documentary on Thelonious Monk. He's a jazz musician from the 60s. I don't know anything about Thelonious Monk. I've never heard of Thelonious Monk until this documentary came out. Again, it's just one that a lot of people have picked up on the Criterion Closet. A lot of people say, hey, watch this documentary. It's a great one of the best documentaries ever made. I don't have that many documentaries in my collection, to be completely honest with you. In general, I just don't have that many documentaries. I feel like documentaries in general are pretty hard to come across, as opposed to like non-fiction works. So this is going to be one of the few documentaries in my collection, so very excited to watch this. I'll probably actually watch it pretty soon, because I'm just so interested in watching it. It's not that I'm not into jazz per se, but it's just a genre of music I don't really listen to that often. I feel like when I listen to jazz, I kind of have to be like really in the mood for it. I'll probably just pop this in and just enjoy the jazzy music, learn more about who Thelonious Monk is, and just kind of go from there. This is another movie that I've been meaning to pick up ever since I saw it, and again, it did come out earlier this year, and that is Compensation from 1999. This came out in 1999, one of the best years in cinema, so add this to the great amount of movies that came out that year that are great. And this is a movie about deafness in African Americans. It's directed by Zanuba Irene Davis. I'm not sure if this is American or an African film. I mean, I know it's an African American film, but I'm not sure if it's from Africa. I'm guessing it's African American, still American. I think this is one of those situations where it's a parallel story where they have one story in the past and one story in the present, or present as per 1999, so I think that's the kind of story they tell. And yeah, this is a movie I've been interested in watching it ever since I found out it was coming into the collection. I never heard of it before that, and then I saw it, and I saw the description of it, learned what it's about. I'm like, I just found it very interesting. In high school, I actually took American Sign Language classes. I barely passed those classes, if I'm being honest. I was very lazy and I didn't really apply myself into that class, to be honest with you. But I did take it, and I have some very, very few remnants as to how to do sign language. Like, very few remnants, like, forget about it. I'm pretty sure, like, this is water, turkey, snake, like you do a forked V, I guess you could say, like that. So I have some, like, very few remnants of words in my mind in terms of ASL, but yeah, it would be nice to go back to this and probably still just barely understand what's going on. I'm pretty sure they have subtitles, let's be honest with you. So there's that. I know, like, this is like something like this is like elevator. So yeah, like, I have just like random words stuck in my head, but I can't really form a sentence. That's the other thing. Like, the sentence structure in ASL is like radically different from regular English. It's almost like Yoda speak, almost in a sense. So I have one more movie that I picked up at this Barnes & Noble store right by my house, and that is Midnight. Again, this is another movie that I've seen a few times be picked up on the Criterion Collection. This is a screwball comedy from the 30s, 1939, so basically the 40s, let's be honest with you. Don Amici, Claudette Colbert. And yeah, it's a screwball comedy. It's considered one of the best screwball comedies from that time. So, I just kind of picked it up. Seems like a short movie, an hour and a half, so go from there. Pretty nice. And like I said, these three, Thelonious Smunk, Compensation, and at Midnight, they all came out this year. Next up, we have the movies from the other Barnes & Nobles, the newer Barnes & Nobles. First one I'm going to show off is 3 Outlaw Samurai, and oddly enough, this was there for only $30. Most Criterion Blu-rays, they're there for $20. Sorry, $40, and then half off is $20. But this one was there for $30. Like original price was $30, and that means that half off will be $15. And they do $30 for all the Janice movies. I mean, I guess it is a Janice. Is it a Janice movie? Oh yeah, it is a Janice movie. My bad. I was about to say it's not a Janice movie. Turns out it is a Janice movie. I did not realize this was a Janice movie. I thought this was just a straight up Criterion movie. So okay, so that explains why this was only $30 or $15 with half off. So pretty cool. This is a movie not necessarily that I've been meaning to watch for some time. It's one of those things I do want to explore more into samurai cinema, I guess you could say. And I think it's very easy to just stick to Akira Kurosawa and his contemporaries from that time. I think it's very easy to just like stick with that. Whereas this, I feel like this is a movie that you don't really hear about that often. I kind of just picked it up for in part because of that, but also because $30 for a Criterion, yes, or 15 I guess afterwards. So that's another reason I picked it up. It's not, I'll be honest with you, it's not one of the samurai movies that I'm personally that excited to watch. Like, I do want to watch it, don't get me wrong, but it's not like Lady Snowblood where like I that's when I'm itching to watch. It's not like Seven Samurai that I'm like itching to watch, which, yeah, by the way, I've never seen Seventh Samurai. I've seen Rashomon though, so I'll give you that one. But or like Yojimbo, like that's when I'm and granted, I've just said, hey, don't focus just on Akira Kurosawa, but like when he's the main person making those kind of movies, who's best known for making those movies, you kind of have no other way to go. I mean, I know the Zatoichi, some of those Zatoichi movies are on Criterion, so there's stuff like that, but yeah, that's the thing. I feel like I have other samurai options I'm more interested in watching, that this one kind of just falls by the wayside by default, but now that I have it, I guess it's back on the wayside, so to speak. Next up, I picked up Arsenic and Old Lace, and this is a movie that I've heard a lot of people discuss recently because another version of it has just been released. I forget which company produced it. I forget if it's like Shout Factory, or it's not Shout Factory. Shout Factory has their own drama going on right now, now that they moved to Groove, whatever that company's called. But I forget if it's Arrow or I forget what company. But they did a release of this movie. And a lot of people are saying that release is better than the Criterion release of this movie. Yeah, that's why I picked it up, because it's a movie that's been talked about recently in the past like month or two, given the release of the other version from the other company. Not gonna lie though, I thought this was going to be a British film. I'm not sure if I kind of missed the memo in hearing all the discussions about the movie. Maybe because most of the discussions were focused more on the actual release. I didn't realize this was a Frank Capra movie. I didn't realize this was a Cary Grant movie, to be honest with you. I genuinely thought this was like a British movie from let's see, 1944. So yeah, I genuinely thought this was going to be a British movie. Also, like, just Arsenic and Old Lace. That sounds like a British title, like Arsenic. I feel like if this was an American, I mean, this is an American production, but like, I feel like an American would call it, I don't know, Poison and Old, I don't know, what's lace? Old cloth. Or old socks, because I feel like I associate lace with like socks, you know, like silk stockings. So like Poison and Old Silk or something like that. I don't know, but like I don't know. It just sounds like a British title. So when I picked this up, I'm like, this is a Frank Capra movie. This is a Cary Grant movie. What the heck? Next up, I picked up The Red Shoes. This is another movie that I've been meaning to pick up for some time. I was actually planning on or thinking about picking it up during the previous Criterion Collection sale from Barnes & Noble's back in June, July. And then also when the Kendall Drive, Barnes & Noble's, when they were going out of business, when they were shutting down, they had massive discounts for a bunch of their everything, really, across the board. Books, movies, media, whatever, toys, whatever. And I was hoping, okay, cool, let me see if I can find The Red Shoes and just buy it again for half off, since it's like another Criterion sale, so to speak. It wasn't there anymore. So yeah, so I picked this up. I've been meaning to pick it up for some time, to be honest with you. This is one of those movies I've kind of been on the fence, like, when's the best time to pick it up type of thing. When I was buying these movies in the new Barnes & Nobles, there's a few other movies I'm like, should I buy it now or should I just wait for it later? So I did put back a few movies. I'm like, let me buy these later down the line. And this is one of those movies that I decided to finally bite the bullet on. I do know that this is like one of Martin Scorsese's favorite movies of all time, so that's also another reason why I kind of got it. I feel like this is the type of movie that I probably should have had like a special slipcover. Maybe the 4K version has it. It's 134 minutes. I did not realize it was that long. Next up, I picked I Am Cuba. I'm in Miami. We have a lot of Cubans. I'm not Cuban, but I talk to Cubans basically every single day, whether they're from Cuba or of Cuban descent. So kind of seems very appropriate for me as a Miamian to pick up I Am Cuba. So yeah, this is another documentary just like Thelonious Monk, and this is basically on Cuba, like the radicalization and the political turmoil in Cuba that happened down there in the 50s and 60s. And you know, I genuinely know people who were from that time who came on the boats from Cuba to Miami. I genuinely know people, or whether it be people I, you know, like the actual person, or hey, I know your parents went through that, or parents or grandparents, depending on the generation. Like, I know that's what they went through. So like, it's one of those things that in a sense, it does kind of hit close to home, because this is something that in Miami, this is something that a bunch of us experience. Again, not me personally, because I'm not Cuban, I'm Colombian, Peruvian. But again, I do know people who have traveled this journey, or their parents or their grandparents have traveled this journey, who were freedom fighters down in Cuba, who were there during the failed Bay of Pigs invasion, right before JFK decided to, hey, let's not do this, actually, you know? In a sense, it does kind of hit close to home, not gonna lie, because I live in Miami, because I know so many Cubans, because I know, I've heard the stories, or I've seen the stories of what happened when they traveled from Cuba on the boats on the flotillas down here, or up here, I guess, into Miami. You know, it just seems kind of appropriate to pick I Am Cuba. Oh, she has a cross, just like me right now. Not sure if it could be seen right there, but yeah, that's kind of cool. And then last but not least, and this is honestly one of the weirdest things on Criterion. From all accounts, it is a great movie. But for me, it's just a little bit weird, and I'll explain why. And that is Petite Maman. And yeah, this is by Celine Sciamma. This is the same person who did Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which I did pick up last year through Amazon, where I accidentally bought it as a DVD. But yeah, for me, this is kind of a weird movie to have. Or better said, it's not the movie itself, it's what the special features are. So something I didn't realize is that Celine Sciamma also wrote My Life as a Zucchini, which is also here as a bonus feature. That's a movie that came out basically 10 years ago. I did not realize that Celine Sciamma wrote My Life as a Zucchini. And I find it even more just like odd, in a sense, that it's technically on the Criterion Collection, My Life as a Zucchini, because it's a special feature here on Petite Maman. I'm not gonna lie, I picked this up more so for My Life as a Zucchini. It's not that I don't have any interest in watching this movie, don't get me wrong. And like I said, I do like, or better said, I do love Portrait of a Lady on Fire. And I do think Celine Sciamma, she is a great filmmaker. So there is a part of me that is excited to watch this movie. But if I'm being honest, I'm more excited to go rewatch My Life as a Zucchini than I am the main movie here, Petite Sciamma. Petite Maman. That for me is like one of the oddest special features across the board on any Criterion that I've seen. Because like we do have examples of movies, an extra movie being the special feature on the Criterion Collection. The Shaft Blu-ray, or I guess the Shaft release, doesn't matter. Shaft, as a special feature, it has Shaft's big score on it as a special feature, which is the sequel, the second movie in that series, in the original trilogy. So they have that. They, of course, always have, most of these have, like, a special documentary that's sometimes a feature-length movie in and of itself. But, like, I don't know why, but I just found that such, like, a random addition. Like, not a short film, because a lot of these also have, like, a short film by the director, like, compensation. They have 2 or 3 short films by the original director, Zebedee Zinabu Irene Davis. I definitely just butchered that right now. So there's 2 short films by that filmmaker as a special feature, but, like, I feel like that's one thing, but to add just a completely different movie, a whole movie, I've always found that just a little bit odd. At least with Shaft, the sequel makes sense. Like, oh, you're gonna add the sequel, cool. But, like, My Life as a Zucchini, I'm not sure if the themes, I mean, I guess the themes are kind of similar to Petite Maman. I just find it weird because she didn't direct Zucchini. She just wrote it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm more excited of rewatching Zucchini than I am watching for the first time Petite Maman. And I'm not gonna lie, this was like a last minute pickup, because originally I was just gonna pick up these 4 movies. So at this, I'm like, wait, what? And then I picked it up and got it. So yeah, because I've never seen this movie out in the wild, now I think about it. So yeah, that's basically it for this portion of the haul. And I guess I'll see you after Black Friday. Really, because I don't really see myself picking up anything between now and Black Friday. So yeah, I'll see you after Black Friday. Bye. And we're back to the movie haul. So we're basically getting here at the tail end of this movie haul. There's maybe just this part and then my post Black Friday haul. And after that, I should be done. The Miami Book Fair is currently going on, so maybe I'll do an extra video showing what I got from the book fair. Mostly books, to be honest with you. But I could also just very easily stuff that into the post Black Friday portion of the video. You know, we'll see what comes out of that. But yeah, right now we have more movies to talk about. I picked up some stuff from Goodwill and some stuff from, not Best Buy, I wish Best Buy, Barnes & Nobles. So I picked up stuff from both those places, both those companies, stores, whatever. And yeah, when I went to Goodwill, I gotta say, somebody must have donated their, like, movie collection recently. Their Indian movie collection recently, specifically, because there was a lot of Indian stuff, media there. A lot of music and movies. I only picked up 2 Indian movies because the other bulk of the media stuff was this Indian TV series that I searched up right there on the spot. And it's one of those things where it has like 1 season, but 70 episodes. It was basically like a telenovela, soap opera, Indian soap opera. And they just had it in volumes from like volumes 1 to 15, I want to say. Like 15, 16 volumes, I want to say there was there. I didn't pick that up because that would have been like $3 a piece for a complete series that I have no idea what it's about. Like, I didn't really feel like doing that. Would have been interesting, I'm not gonna lie, would have been interesting, but that would have taken up a lot of space here. So I just picked up the 2 movies I found there, the 2 Indian movies that I found there. And yeah, so let's just get on to those 2 Indian movies. The first one here is called Kalho Naho. We have that, and then the other one is called Zebediah? No, not Zebediah. Zebida. So this one's a musical, and then this one's a biopic, I guess, or historical drama on this princess named Zebida. And I believe this one has Shah Rukh Khan in it. For those who don't know, Shah Rukh Khan, he's a huge actor from India. You know, I'm pretty sure that's him right there. So yeah, pretty interesting. Again, I have no idea what these movies are about. You know, pretty interesting to collect these. I don't really have any Indian movies here in my collection, not that I could think of off the top of my head. I don't think so. So pretty cool to. No, I have the Apu trilogy. That's which is Criterion, but I have the Apu trilogy. So I think outside of the Apu trilogy, I don't have any other Indian movies in my collection, not that I can think of from the top of my head. So there is that. So pretty cool to get some random Indian movies here in my collection, especially since India has so many different movie industries. Because yes, we all know Bollywood, but there's a bunch of other industries outside of Bollywood. There's Tollywood, there's Sandalwood, there's like 2 different Mollywoods or whatever. So, you know, we have that going on in India. So pretty cool just to get some random Indian movies right there for a few bucks. And yeah, I guess it builds up the Indian portion of my collection, which really would just be the Apu trilogy and then these 2 movies. So there you go. Next up, I picked up 2 Charlie Chan movies. We have Charlie Chan at the Olympics and Charlie Chan at the circus. So Charlie Chan, he was this character from the 30s to the 50s, if I'm not mistaken, and basically think of Chinese Sherlock Holmes. The thing is with him is that his portrayal A lot of people thought his portrayal was very racist. People are taking it the wrong way, especially during this like post World War II, World War One type of era. So they eventually discontinued the character, and he hasn't been seen, I think, since the 60s, I want to say. I do have one other Charlie Chan movie, Charlie Chan in Egypt, if I'm not mistaken. You know, I just picked up 2 more movies that were there in the wild. I do know that I forget if it's Kino Lorber or Shout Factory. Well, Shout Factory is not really a thing anymore, so that's sad to say. They moved to Groove, however you pronounce that website. Besides the point, but I know there's a company out there that has like a Charlie Chan collection. I've thought about picking that up, but I also like don't care enough to pick it up, if that makes sense. So just finding the DVDs out there in the wild is enough for me. Next up, we have Web of the Spider. So this is a Klaus Kinski movie. Klaus Kinski, he's best known for his partnership with Werner Herzog, where he did stuff like Nosferatu and Fitzcarraldo, which we'll talk about Fitzcarraldo later on in this video now I think about it. So stuff like that. I think my favorite movie with them, with that partnership, is the very first one they did together, Aguirre, The Wrath of God. I think that's a masterful film. But yeah, this is another movie that he did. This is not with Werner Herzog. I'll watch it when I get to it. But yeah, just kind of random to see, because I feel like a lot of people know Klaus Kinski with Werner Herzog. They don't really know his work outside of his partnership with Werner Herzog. But the thing is that the partnership he did with Werner Herzog, that's only like 25% of the movies he did. I think in total he did like 30 movies or something like that, and he only did 6 movies with Werner Herzog. In the grand span of his filmography, it's not really that much. I guess a little bit less than a third, so 25%, whatever. So, it's something, it's notable, but it's not like the full breadth of his filmography per se. Pretty cool to see something that's outside of that wheelhouse. Next up, we have All Dogs Christmas Carol, basically a sequel to All Dogs Go to Heaven, which I actually think is a really good movie. I haven't seen it in a few years, so I should probably rewatch it again soon. But yeah, I think that's a pretty cool movie, and pretty cool that they have a sequel to it. Definitely go check it out if you haven't already. And again, we're about to get into the Christmas season, so might as well buy it. Next up, we have Cinderella, and they had a few copies of Cinderella there, so I just picked one up and kind of just went from there. Not gonna lie, I thought I already had Cinderella in my collection, but it's the live action Cinderella, the one from like 10 years ago, I think a little bit more than that at this point, not the original animated version. So pretty cool to finally have that in the collection. Next up, we have a random Robin Williams movie, Moscow of the Hudson. For whatever reason, there's 2 copies of Moscow here in this case, so the more the merrier, I guess. Take that for what you will. So this is a movie I've heard some stuff about. It's not one of Robin Williams' like best known roles, but it's Robin Williams. You can't really go wrong with it either way, because Robin Williams, rest in peace. Next up, we have The Falcon and the Snowman, and not gonna lie, I've never heard of this movie. I just saw it there, kind of piqued my interest. Seemed interesting, so yeah, why not pick it up for about $2-3? Go from there. And then last for the DVDs, but not last for Goodwill, but still for the end of the DVD stuff, we have a 4-film collection of Nicholas Sparks movies. We have The Notebook, Message in a Bottle, Nights in the Rodanthe, and A Walk to Remember. To be honest with you, I've only ever heard of The Notebook and A Walk to Remember. I haven't heard of the other 2, Nights in the Rodanthe and Message in a Bottle. Funny enough, they had Message in a Bottle as like a regular DVD right there. I could pick up Message in a Bottle, or I could pick up Message in a Bottle with 3 other movies. Picked it up there, 4 movies for $3. I don't really have any interest in picking these movies up anyways. I'm in Blu-rays, maybe if I see it out there in the wild, maybe, but like I have no true interest, so might as well just build it up there, buy it, go from there, watch them eventually. Now to move on to the Blu-rays. All those DVDs are all from Goodwill. Next up we have the Blu-rays, and these next 5 movies are also from Goodwill. First off, we have Horrible Bosses. I want to say I randomly saw the second one on TV shortly after it came out. I want to say I randomly saw it at some point, but I don't remember anything of it, and don't even remember ever watching the first one. So, saw it there for $2-3. Screw it, why not? This next one is also a Jennifer Aniston movie. Now I think about it, because Jennifer Aniston here, it's Just Go With It, with Jennifer Aniston as well. This is another movie I want to say I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I don't remember it that well. Next up, we have The Invincible Iron Man. This is the animated movie. Didn't know there was an animated movie of this. I thought this was like a TV series. You don't really talk about Marvel animated movies, I feel like. When you talk about superhero animated movies, you mostly talk about the direct-to-TV, DVD, whatever, DC movies, because I think those are the ones that are most well known, best made, this, that, and the other. So you typically don't talk about the animated Marvel movies, but I have a few of them here in my collection. Might as well add another one to the collection. They're not bad, it is what it is, and pretty cool that's here on Blu-ray. Next up, we have Wanted. Speaking of comic book movies, this is also I'm pretty sure Wanted is a comic book movie. And the only thing I remember about this movie, which I think is the best thing that this movie is known for, is a trailer where you have I'm gonna assume it's Angelina Jolie based on the poster right here. But you know, she like spins the gun, and when the bullet comes out the gun, it's like spiraling all around and somehow manages to curve to like some other place. That's about as much as I remember about this movie. I've never seen it past the trailer, so pretty cool to see it there. And last but not least, we have Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This is basically going to be an upgrade because I do have the DVD of this, so basically I'm going to upgrade this to Blu-ray. The one bad thing about this case in particular is the fact that it really doesn't close. The little studs or whatever that are supposed to hold it down, they just don't, if that makes sense. Like, this thing just very easily just like, you know, opens up no matter what I do. So, because it's not like Wanted here, like you hold it upside down and it's normal, you know. Yeah, you have that clicking right there. You have that clicking right there. With this, you don't hear that clicking. When it comes down, you don't hear that clicking. So that's kind of unfortunate. So now we move on to the Criterion stuff that I picked up again from Barnes & Noble's. They still have their 50% off sale. There's two things here that I've been meaning to pick up for some time, and I'm like, let me just buy it now. And then the other three stuff I've been wanting to pick up for some time, and I've just never really bit the bullet. To be fair, one of these I've never seen live. I've only ever thought about picking it up online, but I saw it here live for the first time in ever. So I'm like, you know what? Let me pick it up then. This must be a sign. But first off here, and kind of going off with Klaus Kinski, we have Burden of Dreams. So this is the documentary in regards to how Werner Herzog and Klaus Kinski, how they filmed Fitzcarraldo. For me, this is kind of a weird pick to be in the Criterion Collection. Not that I disagree with it, by the way, but for me, it's one of those things like, you're going to have the documentary that's basically a behind-the-scenes video about the movie, but you're not going to have the actual movie that this is discussing in the collection. For me, that's always been kind of weird, if I'm being honest with you. I almost feel like this is one of those things where if Fitzcarraldo was in the Criterion Collection, Burden of Dreams would have been like a special feature on the Fitzcarraldo Blu-ray, if that makes sense. I almost feel like that's how it would have gone. That's all I gotta say. It makes for a pretty cool double feature once I eventually rewatch Fitzcarraldo. I could just jump into this immediately right afterwards. Next up, we have Blowout, arguably one of John Travolta's best roles. Like I said before, this is one of those movies that I've been meaning to pick up for some time, and I finally bit the bullet and picked it up. I really like the cover. I really like the cover, to be honest with you. I've never seen it, so I can't wait to finally dig into this movie and watch it. Kind of just go from there. It's De Palma. It does have another De Palma movie in this collection, and as a special feature, it has Murder a la Mode, which is his very first movie from 1967. So you got two for the price of one in this case. And yeah, I'm pretty sure Burden of Dreams has the same thing here too. It has Werner Herzog eating his shoe. So I'm pretty sure that's more of a short film, not a feature film. I don't remember that being a feature film. Pretty sure that's a short film. If anything, that's more of a like a live performance type of thing. The thing with that was that if Werner Herzog actually completed this movie, he was gonna eat his shoe. It was something random like that, some random bet like that. I guess they filmed that, so I feel like that's more of a live performance, and I don't think that'd be a feature film. Yeah, but you got pretty cool here. Two for the price of one. We have Blowout and Murder a la Mode. So this is a movie I was talking about that I've never seen live in person, so I kind of just bought it because of that, and that is Sancho the Bailiff. And I really like the slipcover. And that's the thing with this. I don't understand what Criterion's criteria is when it comes to giving movies slipcovers or not. It seems like most 4Ks have a slipcover. Most, not even all. But some Blu-rays do and some Blu-rays don't. Like, Blowout does not. Sancho does. And it's actually, I really do like the slipcover. I really like how it feels, to be honest. It feels like a bit different than your average slipcover. And I really like how the feel of the cover here is. And it has a whole book here inside, like an actual book here, where it talks about the behind the scenes stuff about it. And then this movie, Sancho, it's actually based on a story, and they have two versions of the story in that little novel right there, so it's pretty cool. Really like it a lot. I picked it up now. I didn't expect it to come like this, to be honest with you. I expected it to be like the regular case, you know. I didn't expect it to come in this like pretty cool slipcover with the booklet inside and all of that. You know, like for me, that was very much a pleasant surprise, honestly. Like very much a pleasant surprise. And just because of that alone, because of the packaging, this is quickly becoming one of my favorite movies, per se. Granted, I haven't seen it, so who knows, maybe the movie just sucks. I highly doubt it, because Criterion movies typically are pretty decent at the very least. But you know, just like from based on the packaging alone, like this seems like it's going to be a great. And to talk about slipcovers a little bit more, we have Doctor Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. So yeah, that's what I mean by like the slipcover here. Like this is what I kind of expect from the slipcovers from Criterion versus what we have here for Sancho. I'm not sure if it'll make sense on right here on screen, but like I don't know, the feel of the Sancho slipcover is like so much more different than the regular slipcover you have for Doctor Strangelove. There's like a certain texture to it that I don't know. I like it a lot more than the regular slipcover. Granted, the regular slipcover is still good, don't get me wrong, but there's just like a certain texture to it that I enjoy it a lot more. Something pretty cool about this release is the fact that we have like this top secret thing package inside, where it has the booklet with the essay and as well as some promo material for this movie as well. Pretty cool. Really like that a lot. I'm not going to take it out because it's going to be a lot to put it back in. The one thing I kind of do wish this movie had, or I guess the packaging had, was like if they had like little, I don't know, clips or whatever, like something to like hold this down because this kind of just falls off. Granted, like even if you could just have it like closed like that, but I don't know, I kind of prefer if there was something like holding on to it. That's really about it, I would say, in regards to this. And I'll be honest, I've actually never seen Doctor Strangelove. Yeah, actually, out of all these movies I picked up, I don't think I've seen any of these movies. Yeah, actually, no, I've seen Cinderella. What am I saying? I've seen Cinderella, and that's about it. Oh no, wait, Willy Wonka. I've seen Cinderella and Willy Wonka. Those are the two movies I've seen. Everything else I've never seen at all. And last but not least, we have Barry Lyndon. And not gonna lie, Barry Lyndon, this is one of those movies where I actually did consider getting the 4K because I did like the packaging for the 4K a lot more than just your standard Blu-ray case. I just couldn't pull the trigger. I still wanted the movie, so I might as well just get the Blu-ray. I didn't feel like I needed to get the 4K version of it just for the slipcover. And that's just me. Again, I don't typically buy 4K movies in general because I don't have a 4K player. So for me, it's only really DVDs and Blu-rays. I have a few handful of 4Ks that I've gotten just because over the years, either because I had no other option or because I wanted to. From the Criterion Collection, I only have two 4Ks. It's Wall-E because it only comes in the Blu-ray 4K combination. So I had no choice but to get the 4K in that case. And then the other one from Criterion that I have is Flow. And that one is one I wanted to get the 4K because I like the packaging of it a lot more than your standard Blu-ray case. But yeah, this one, again, this is one of those, like, I did heavily consider getting the 4K version of it, but I'm like, I've never seen the movie, so maybe that has a bit to do with it, but because I've never seen the movie, I'm like, am I gonna like it that much that I need to have that special 4K packaging? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'll regret it later after I see the movie, but that's about it. And yeah, pretty cool. The little booklet here is pretty nice, I'd say, you know, nothing out of the ordinary. I will say that it's pretty interesting that this movie has two discs in it, and I'm pretty sure it's because I don't think one of these discs is like the DVD, like the Blu-ray DVD type of thing. I think one of them has the special features, and the other one is the actual movie, which I don't recall Criterion ever doing that in other releases. Not that I remember right off the top of my head that they will do that. I'm sure they have. I just don't remember right off the top of my head. Because, I mean, these other movies, I'm not going to take these out to cover too much work, but Blowout only has the one movie, or the one disc, sorry. And Bird in the Dreams only has the one disc as well, right? Yeah, it only has the one disc as well. So it's pretty interesting that Barry Lyndon has the two discs in there. And again, I'm guessing one of them is the Blu-ray and the other one is the special features. So pretty cool. So yeah, that's basically it for this chunk of the collection. This is, let me just give you guys a quick overview of everything I got here. Hopefully this doesn't fall. So yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next portion of the video, whether that be a post book fair haul or a post Black Friday haul. I'm inclined to say I'm going to do two more parts, to be honest with you. I feel like I'm going to do a post book fair thing in of itself, and then in a week from now, week and a half from now, I'll do the final Black Friday haul. Here's what I got. And that's basically it. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically it for now. I'll see you next time. Alright, so it seems you guys get two more videos. This one, my book fair haul, and then whatever I'm going to buy after Black Friday. Yeah, like I said, I was going to maybe do one or two more videos. One of them for the book fair, which is what this is, and then another one for Black Friday. I was considering maybe combining the two, but I'm like, I honestly just want to put these away quickly and kind of get this over with. So I'm just doing this right now. So yeah, I went to the book fair today, and I got a decent amount of books. I got 16 books. I guess in one sense of the word, it feels like, oh, that's a lot of money. You must have spent a lot of money, but not really. The thing is that at the book fair, they tend to have a lot of booths where they give away free books. you have a lot of authors who are like first-time authors who are trying to get their names out there, and a lot of them tend to give their books out for free. So there's that. So you have stuff like that, and then you have this other booth. I forget what the company is called. Let me see. It's Ex Libris Bookleggers. That's what the company is called. And they give out free books every single year at the book fair, and I usually tend to get like a huge chunk of stuff from them. So honestly, at the end of the day, I only really paid for about like 6 books, I think, at the end. And in terms of the books, I basically picked up a bunch of religion books, mostly Catholic books, honestly. So the difference between Christian and Catholic stuff, I mean, Christian is still the overarching religion. Catholic is just a denomination of that, per se. But I guess the main thing to kind of take into consideration when I'm saying Catholic literature is that a lot of this is talking about the saints. That's more of a Catholic thing versus a Christian thing. So you have that. And then I picked up 2 novels by this random author. I have 6 graphic novels. And then the last 3 books are like history stuff. So yeah, let's just get into it. So starting off with religion stuff. This is The Case for Easter by Lee Strobel. So Lee Strobel, he is a very prominent Christian author. I actually found one of his books recently at Goodwill. Just kind of add this to the collection. It's a significantly smaller book. And then this is the bookmark that company I was talking about, Bookleggers, that they gave. They gave me a bookmark for every single book I took from them. So I'm not really sure I needed that. I think I could have done with just the one, but it is what it is. But yeah, Lee Strobel, pretty cool. Everybody tends to call him a lot, so can't wait to get into this close to Easter, because this is the case for Easter. So we have that. Next up, we have What You Didn't Know About the Bible, Questions and Answers, a comprehensive guide to the biblical knowledge by J. Carter Swaim. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty interesting. Basically, it discusses every single book in the Bible and gives you questions and answers. The one thing I don't like about this book, and look, yes, the free books are basically used, so I can't really complain about how they come. But I'm not gonna lie, the book jacket on this, like, yes, it does have a tear right there. I'm not sure you can see it. I don't really care about the tear, but it's just the way the book jacket is sitting on the book. It's just like misaligned, I guess would be the best way to word it. So I'm kind of struggling right here. I'm not sure if you guys can see it right there, but there's kind of this weird crease on the front here on this end because it was just misaligned, and I guess over time it just developed like that. The jacket just sat like that, so I'm trying to correct the sitting of the jacket. So yeah, pretty interesting book. I flipped through it, and it actually does talk about the apocryphal books. So for those who don't know, at one point in history, instead of the books that we have from Genesis to Revelations, both New and Old Testament, there's an extra set of books that are often considered the Apocrypha. They're in the Bible. They were originally in the Bible for like a few centuries, I want to say, until the Bible was like officially canonized. Because of that, a bunch of books were taken out. The Maccabees, for example, were taken out. There's 2 Maccabees. There's another version of Ecclesiastes that was like taken out. You have the Wisdom of Solomon that's taken out. Esdras 1 and 2 were taken out. Tobit, Judith were taken out. There's another Jeremiah that's taken out, like Jeremiah 2 essentially was taken out. There's Jeremiah. Baruch was taken out. Esther, there's like more to Esther that was taken out because it wasn't considered the real stuff. So it's stuff like that. It was a lot of stuff that was taken out. A lot of those books typically are in the Catholic Bible versus the Christian Bible. So that's what I mean. Like, there is some stuff here that's more Catholic literature than versus Christian literature, but not necessarily to say that's all the same to me, because it isn't. But, it's still good to see what the wider Christian community wants to discuss, what they think about. I'm not gonna lie, I've read some of the Apocrypha. I think I've read Judith for sure, and I want to say I read Tobit, right? Tobit. So I know for sure I've read Judith, and I've read parts of Tobit, and I'm pretty sure I've like just randomly gone through some of the Maccabees, like just random verses. So stuff like that. Maybe I'll read it in the future, but since it's not in the actual canonized Bible that we should be looking at, I have less of a reason to look at it, if that makes sense. But you can look at it as an additional stuff, but just don't take it as gospel because it's not in the actual true Bible. One of the few bad things about Catholic stuff, but that's neither here nor there. Catholics are still saved. Just gonna point that out, despite what they think. It's not like Jehovah's Witnesses. By the way, there was a Jehovah's Witness booth, and I swear to Christ, swear to God, that the urge for me to just like not scream like, you guys believe in a false God, you guys believe in a false doctrine, you guys are leading people to hell, the urge to not want to scream that every time I pass by that booth. Jesus. Going back to this. Next up, we have Giants of the Faith, a conversations which changed the world. This is all by John A. O'Brien. Conversations that St. Paul, St. Augustine, Cardinal Newman, G.K. Chesterton, Orestes Brownsman, and Isaac Hecker, that they had, I guess, interviews that were just compiled onto this. Again, when you talk about more like saints, stuff like that, St. Paul, St. Augustine, that's more Catholic stuff. Next up, we have the Parable of Jesus. Just seemed something that was there, interesting for free. So took it. And next up we have Soldiers of the Spirit, The Life of Charles de Foucault. He's a Christian Catholic priest, I guess you could say. Like it's one of those things. I actually searched him up, and he had like many different jobs. Like he was like a soldier in the French army during this time, and pastor and stuff like that. So just in the biography of this guy, so it just seemed pretty interesting right there. There's also a lot of other religious books, Catholic Christian books that were in the mix. There was like a babies Bible type of thing, and Saints for the Babies and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna sit here and say I considered taking it, but you know, it's one of those things like if you're a parent or about to have a child, like those are the type of books you want to get. So there's that. So those are all the Christian Catholic literature that I basically picked up. Thank God, right there. And next up we have these two novels that were just there. There tends to be a lot of authors there that are just giving out, signing their books and giving it out for free. So I basically got two of them, kind of. What I mean by kind of is, I guess this is kind of a toxic trait, but I kind of just saw them there. I was eating a quick snack, and yeah, the table beside me, that these two books were just kind of left there. And I'm like, that's kind of random, so I just kind of went over there and picked them up randomly. I had already seen the booth. I had no intention of picking up these books, but I'm like, hey, you know, I don't want to leave some books homeless, so to speak, so I just picked them up. And they're both by the same author, Rich Shapiro. This one's called Beneath Kaki's Wings. And then the next one is called Ziatinus. Zaifatinus. I'm definitely mispronouncing that. And he had a third book there, and at his booth it was like a hornet. I had the image of a hornet, like the cover was a hornet. I mean, I didn't really care to pick it up. I didn't really care to pick these two up in the first place. I just didn't want to leave these books homeless, so to speak. So I'm like, yeah, you know what, screw up. I'll pick it up and just shove them somewhere in my little closet library. That's right, next to my closet. Shove it in there. Next up, we have the graphic novels, the comic book stuff, and usually at the book fair, I would pick up comic books, but I just don't care to pick up comic books anymore like that. I'll be honest, I haven't really collected comic books like that in several years. So there's a comic book shop down here called Max Comic Book Shop, and they shut down, give or take, 2017, 2018, and that's the last time I truly collected comics. I past that at the book fair, I'll pick up a few comics and that's it. And they're usually there for a few dollars. Usually go through the dollar bin and pick up like 30 comics and kind of go from there. I haven't gone to Comic Con, the Florida Super Con. I haven't gone to that in almost 10 years, to be honest. I've only been there a handful of times, and that's the time I was there, like between 8 and 10 years ago. So I went to the comic book booth that was here, and I just didn't really care to pick up like the individual comic books. I didn't even really look through the boxes. I did consider picking up a few Funkos, but I'm like, I don't really care to pick up Funkos. My Funko shelf right there is like practically no more room available. I decided not to do that, but I went through the stack and went through the graphic novels, and this is where I picked up a few graphic novels. First off, which was a very interesting pickup, we have One Soul, and the way this works is you have 18 lives, you have 18 different characters, and every single panel is the story of that character. So what I mean by this, let me just show you. So here we have all 18 characters, and then when you flip to the next portion, the page, it continues. So it doesn't continue like this, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like the typical comic book. No, let's take this character. This character's story is always going to be on this panel every time you flip the page. So next page, so that's their story. Next page is here. Next page is here, like that. Like that's how they tell the story, and that goes for every panel. So I thought that was pretty cool, pretty interesting. So I picked it up because of that. And then I have a funny story to say in regards to these 3 graphic novels. The next one I picked up is The Age of Bronze, 8,000 Ships by Eric Schanauer. I really like the art. To be honest with you, it just seemed interesting. It's about the Battle of Troy, you know, with the Trojan horse and all that stuff. So, you know, have it there in comic form. Cool. And last but not least, we have Camelot. What is this? Camelot 3000. So basically, Camelot's, you know, Arthurian legends, and they're sent into space. It's essentially what this comes down to. This is an old DC Comics comic book, graphic novel story, I guess you could say. So pretty cool to have it there. And yeah, the story with these 3, because I picked these 3 up I picked up those 3 at the same booth. Every single graphic novel there was half off, and I did consider picking up a few of the graphic novels. There's one that I really wanted, but it was gonna be way too expensive, and it was like a compendium of old Superman issues, comics, whatever. The original price for that compendium was $125. You divide that by 2, it's $75. You know, like for me, that's not worth it. If I'm gonna be honest with you, that's not worth it. So I just stuck to these. And the original price, because I did the math before I went to the guy to like, hey, check out. The original price would have been $25, a few dollars more for like tax or some fee, whatever. So like a little bit over $25, like $26, $27, whatever. when I gave the books to the guy, he was like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be like $38. I'm like, $38? Excuse me? I'm like, no, it's supposed to be like 25. You're like $10 over. And what he didn't notice is that, which comic book was it? Was it this one? What he didn't notice is the fact that he was charging me the Canadian price for this one. So here, I'm not sure if you can see it correctly right there, but the US price is $19.95 and the Canadian price is $31.32. So he was charging me basically $30, 30 divided by 215, instead of like, no, it's $10 or whatever. So once I told him that, like, no, you're looking at the wrong price, here it is. I'm like, oh, he's like, oh, okay, my bad. So yeah, he just said was sorry. I'm like, yeah, sure, it is what it is, but I didn't want to get upcharged all of a sudden, you know. So that was pretty cool. And then I picked up a few of the graphic novels. Next up, I have Clan Apis. So this one I actually picked up with the rest of the Christian stuff here. All these plus this one were all from the free library one. Actually, I think I have one more that's actually from the free library one. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's this one too, which I guess I'll show it right here. The Counselor. So that all these were from the free library one. So we have all that, and plus all the Christian books right there. That was all the free library stuff. I already showed off The Counselor, so here you go. I'll talk about it more once I get to it proper. But there we go. So just seemed pretty cool. There's like no other graphic novels there. Not gonna lie, I was looking for plays, like, you know, theater plays, but they didn't have any theater plays at any of these booths. They typically don't. You'll find one or two like randomly there, but I didn't find anything today. So, you know, it just seemed pretty cool. And this is from another booth, and these are both Calvin and Hobbes. We have the Essential Calvin and Hobbes and the Indispensable Calvin and Hobbes. If I could just pick it up. So I got these both for $8. Yeah, why not? They had a few other Calvin and Hobbes comic books or like graphic novels, volumes, whatever you want to call them, but they're a lot smaller. I'm like, let me just take these for now, and that's it. And yeah, so that's it for the graphic novels. As I said beforehand, I picked up The Counselor. So this is a JFK memoriam. Memoir, that's the right word, memoir, and it's taken from the account of all his closest advisors and friends and stuff like that. Now, again, I'm a huge history buff, so I like history, and this is pretty cool. There actually was, in the booth that I picked up the Calvin and Hobbes stuff, there was another JFK book that I didn't mind picking up. I just didn't pick it up at the end. That booth typically has a lot of good stuff. I don't remember what the name of the booth is or the company that runs that booth is, but they typically have a lot of good stuff. I've gotten a few World War II books in the past from them, and I did look at the World War II stuff this time around, and I'm not gonna lie, I did want to pick it up, but it just seemed a little bit more pricier than I remember, or a little less accessible than usual for me, so I decided not to pick them up. I feel like this year, that booth was a little bit more expensive than usual. Maybe it's just me, but it felt like that. Like, it was a little bit more expensive than usual. I also feel like that booth in particular usually has a few more sales going on during the last days, because tomorrow's the last day. I went on the second to last day, so I usually remember that booth having sales on like the last few days. And who knows, maybe if I go tomorrow, I'm not gonna go to tomorrow, by the way, but like, hypothetically, let's say I go tomorrow, oh, maybe they'll actually have their sales. Who knows? I think I also picked this one up for free. Now I think about it, maybe. I actually don't remember where I picked this one up from. The Sorcerer's Apprentice. This is The Sorcerer's Apprentice, basically the life of Picasso. Yeah, I may have picked this up from, because this is used. Yeah. Does this have the bookmark? Yeah, I got this from the... Okay, so this is another free book that I got. There we go. Life of Picasso. There you go. Nice. And then last but not least, I got The Duke. Basically a book on John Wayne and his movies. The official John Wayne movie book. Pretty cool. You know, John Wayne, he's a legend of the silver screen. I have on my collection here, for my movie collection, I have a bunch of like collections of John Wayne DVD sets and stuff like that with a bunch of his movies. So that's pretty cool. I don't know what it is with John Wayne, because I've never seen this with any other actor, but for movies, for like DVDs, Blu-rays, mostly DVDs, because I don't really see this much with Blu-rays, but mostly with DVDs. I haven't seen any other actor outside of John Wayne have like a collection of movies that's like, hey, here's 30 movies from John Wayne. You know, like, here's 50 movies from John Wayne. Granted, Clint Eastwood has a few of them like that. Like, there are some collections where it's like, hey, like a few movies from this actor. Like, here's a few Jimmy Stewart movies. I mean, I have the Audrey Hepburn collection. I have the Marx Brothers collection. But those are like 7, 8 movies. You know, the Marx Brothers, that's like 5 movies of theirs. I have the Jerry Lee Lewis collection. Jerry Lewis? Not Lee Lewis. Just Jerry Lewis, the comedian. And that one has like 10, 11, 12 movies. So I have that. And I think I have the Rita Hayworth collection. That one also has like a good 10 to 15 movies in it. The thing with that is that those are just one single collection. John Wayne, I see like 20, 30 different movie bundle collections where it's like, here's 20 movies by John Wayne. And then here's another DVD case where it's like another different 20 movies by John Wayne. And here's another thing where it's like, yeah, this is another 20 movies by John Wayne. And yeah, maybe it has a few from each collection, but then it has its own other movies that they're featuring here. Like, I've never seen that done with anybody else acting wise. And then the only other person that I can think of they do this with is Alfred Hitchcock. Like, Alfred Hitchcock and John Wayne are the only two people where they have like several upon several upon several upon several collections dedicated to their works alone. Because again, most actors only have like one or two main collections and that's it. Clint Eastwood is like the only one I can think of that's like a distant second, and that's about it. Like, I generally can't think of another person who has like a hold on that. Like, I don't even think Chaplin has it like that. So yeah, that's it for all the movie stuff. Jesus Christ. That's it for all the book stuff here that I picked up. At the end, I picked up 16 books. I guess that I wanted 14, because those last two I kind of just said, hey, I'll adopt you, because why not? So yeah, but yeah, that's basically it for now. Honestly, a pretty decent haul. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get into this Christian stuff, Christian Catholic stuff, as soon as I can. And the history stuff, the graphic novels, I'll get to on my own time. It's one of those things, I'm not going to lie, like reading sometimes, I'll be honest, I kind of focus a little bit too much on the Bible. And not that that's a bad thing, because it's the Bible. It's the one book we all need to read, regardless of anything, if we want to get saved in this life. It's one of those things that sometimes I'm so focused on the Bible that I forget to read other stuff, if that makes sense. Or I don't have time, or I don't make time to read other stuff. So that's one of those things that I'm hoping to change come the new year. I mean, I could also start doing it this month. This month's about to end, we're right before Thanksgiving, and then in like about a week. Next week it's December, literally, so. Yeah, but, I don't know. It's one of those things, that's kind of the dichotomy with me. I want to read more, but I'm just kind of too focused on the Bible. And then the few times I do read anything outside of the Bible, it's almost like a spritz, where I read it for like maybe about a week. And then, I usually finish the book within a week and a half, and then I forget to read anything else outside the Bible, if that makes sense. Actually, before I forget, because I did want to talk about this too. So at the book fair, every year they give out a tote bag, like a canvas bag. It's like the one thing that everybody is supposed to get, to like memorialize, I guess you could say, this year's book fair. And this one, usually the book fair bag, it shows the book fair logo, and it usually has something to do with Miami and the book fair and stuff like that. This year, however, the book fair bag is actually C-SPAN. It's C-SPAN 2 Book TV, which I guess is still book fairy. And granted, they do have this, so there is that too, but usually they have like the emblem, the logo, on both sides. They usually don't have like C-SPAN or any other company in the back. And the other thing with this is the fact that I just feel like this bag is like very cheaply made. I'm not sure if you can see this, but like the dye is like rubbing off already, like. And in the bottom, granted, I'll admit, I did have a lot of books here, but the bottom is already like starting to get unstitched. There's a hole already forming right there. I'm not sure you can see it. So there's that. And like even the bottom seems like it's starting to fade. But there's another hole that's like kind of forming right there too. Just noticed that too. But yeah, I don't know about this bag. This bag just seems very, very cheaply made. Blame C-SPAN, I guess. Blame C-SPAN. That's basically it for this portion of the video. Now into my Black Friday, post-Black Friday haul. What did I get? We'll see right now. Alright, and this is the final part of the video. I hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving. It is currently Black Friday, the ending of Black Friday, and I had arguably the longest shift I've ever had, period, at Banana Republic. So I had a very, very long shift. Funny enough, I've actually never worked a Black Friday shift, despite me having been there at Banana Republic 3 Black Fridays. This is the first time I've done Black Friday at Banana Republic. Because the first year I was there, they just didn't schedule me at all for Black Friday. The second year I was there, they scheduled me in the morning, and I think I worked maybe 1 hour after opening, but like, again, it's like 10, that's 10 in the morning, 9 in the morning, whatever in the morning, so like, there's no traffic. So like, this is the first time I've actually really done Black Friday in retail, so yeah, it was tough. Not gonna lie, it was tough. I was supposed to be there at 8:30, so logically I've been thinking, let me put my alarm for 7, this and the other, but my body just woke me up like at 5 in the morning. I'm like, and I couldn't go back to sleep. I'm like, Jesus Christ, let me go back to sleep, But I couldn't, so go figure. So I've basically been up since 5 in the morning, and it is currently, I think, like 9 p.m. I want to say, or like about to be 9 p.m. I didn't really buy that much stuff for Black Friday or like these last few days. This is something I'll probably discuss more in a video that will probably come out in January, discussing my movie buying habits. But it's one of those things, I'm kind of tuckered out of buying movies, if that makes sense. Or like, I feel like I've overindulged myself to such an extreme that I don't really have the need to buy movies anymore. Or at least at this very moment. So there's that. And honestly, Barnes & Noble does not have any good sales right now for movies. Yes, we still have the Criterion sale, and that I think ends within the first couple of days of December. But like past that, like the other movies they have there that's not Criterion, they don't really have good deals on them, if I'm being honest with you. Barnes & Noble, they did have like a 50% deal, however, on like British TV shows, so like Doctor Who and stuff like that. But like, even then, that selection was very much limited. So there is that. I actually went to 2 Barnes & Nobles, and the first one is one that I seldomly go to anymore. I used to go a lot when I was like a kid, like 10 years old, when I used to live closer to that Barnes and Nobles. And so when I'm Miracle Mile, and I'm sorry, I haven't really been there in a long time to like buy stuff. I think the last time I bought something from there was honestly like last year in the summer. Like I've gone inside a few times since then, but I haven't really bought anything because the thing is that their selection of movies isn't that good to begin with. It's like it's extremely low. I would say it's like the lowest out of all the Barnes and Nobles that we have in this area. I would say it's probably the lowest outside of Sunset Place, which I don't even think has any more movies anymore. Period, because it's that desolate at this point. And that's why I usually don't buy anything from there, but I just didn't really have a good experience today. If you guys saw my vlog where I introduced one of the Barnes & Nobles, I think it was the video where I'm saying goodbye to Barnes & Nobles, and then at the same time I introduced, hey, the Barnes & Nobles that just opened by the falls, right near my house. I think I discussed in that video where I found it weird how that store had the padlock key, like you have to put in a key code or whatever to enter the bathroom. The reason I bring this up is because the Barnes & Nobles at Coral Gables, the one that's located in Miracle Mile, they have that same padlock, enter the code system crap. But what really threw me off here and kind of angered me, not gonna lie, is the fact that they were like, yeah, in order for us to give you the code, you need to buy something. And I'm like, what the hell? Why? Just give us a code. We need it. Me and my dad, we were about to take a piss right there on the corner. I'm like, just give us a code. I didn't need to take a piss that much. Honestly, I could have probably held it, but my dad like really needed to go. So it's like, bro, just give us a code. Like, it's either you give us a code and we use the bathroom, or we're gonna take a piss right there in the corner. Like what kind of brain dead capitalistic crap policy is that, straight up? Like, I understand if it's a random mom and pop bakery, like, hey, buy this $2 cup of water or whatever to use the bathroom much. And even then, I think it's kind of ridiculous that you need to buy something to use the bathroom. I think that's like a horrible policy wherever you go. But like here at Barnes and Nobles, were like, you have to waste at least what, $10 to buy a book. I mean, I guess you could buy a bookmark or a chocolate for like $6, but like, come on, just to use the bathroom and to get the code, like that's honestly ridiculous. That's straight up ridiculous. If you guys ever go to the Barnes and Nobles at Coral Gables, if I'm not mistaken, the code is 5848 as of Thanksgiving, as of Black Friday, Thanksgiving of 2025. I'm not sure if they'll change in the future, but for those who do go, who live here in Miami, who live here in Florida, who want to go there and can't use the bathroom because the people there say, hey, you need to purchase something, the code is 5848. Just gonna leave it out there. And because of that, combined with the fact that they already don't have a huge selection of movies, I just was really dissuaded to buying anything there, even a $2 bookmark or whatever. Like, I really didn't want to buy anything. I really didn't want to support that kind of behavior, you know. So I just left with my dad. Like, we just left. Eventually, I go on my own to the Barnes & Nobles here by the falls, that one that's actually quickly becoming my favorite Barnes & Nobles, straight up. In part because it's so close, in part because the people are friendly, in part because they give you the code to the bathroom without needing to purchase something, and, you know, not have it be some kind of capitalistic gameplay crap thing. So I went there, and like I said, I haven't really been motivated anymore to buy that much movies. I think I've overindulged a bit in the past few months, which again I'll discuss more in a future video. More than likely that's going to come out in January, because I want to do this like a New Year refresher type of thing. But in this case, I still picked up some stuff. I picked up 2 movies. One of them is Criterion, one of them is not, but still has a 50% sale. So let's just get to it. And first off, here we have My Private Idaho, My Own Private Idaho. So this is a movie I've heard a lot of stuff about. It's Gus Van Sant, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's Gus Van Sant. It's Joaquin Phoenix, Keanu Reeves, not Joaquin Phoenix, sorry, River Phoenix, before he died, before he was murdered. So, and a lot of people really love this movie. A lot of people talk about this movie. I've seen a lot of people pick this up during the Criterion Closet videos. And it's one that's like, yeah, I guess it's funny time to just randomly pick this up and put it on and see what all the fuss is about. And kind of just go from there. So I picked it up. Let's see what the fuss is about. And then the other thing I picked up, I guess you could say it's an upgrade. Thing is, I'm pretty sure I already have the Blu-ray of this anyways, but it's just a better packaging type of situation, and that is It's a Wonderful Life. This is the 75th anniversary edition. It was there for 50% off, so this was already $20.99, $21, so 50% off. It's basically $10.50. So basically, I got all this for $30 plus tax, like 32, whatever. And because, you know, Criterion's on already 50% off until for the next few days, and then this is another 50. So yeah, those are all the movies I got. Again, I just really wasn't enticed anymore to buy some stuff. I did consider picking up the 4K of my Princess Bride. Princess Bride, and I do. That's one where I do want to get the 4K, because because it's like a booklet. It's like a storybook booklet as opposed to like the regular DVD Blu-ray case that Criterion has. So that's one of those few that I would actually consider getting the 4K, but I just didn't really care to get it, to be honest with you, not yet. And yeah, it's one of those things I feel like I've just overindulged on Criterion specifically a lot these past few months. I'm like, let me give myself a break. Let's just stop at that. Again, I'll probably discuss this more in that future video that'll probably more than likely come out in January, or like late December, early January is when I think that video will come out. But yeah, so that's what I picked up for movies. And I did go to my library as well. And my library, they often sell books for like $1 a piece. So it's one of those things where I kind of just looked at what they had, and I picked up 2 books. First one is Rabbi Paul, an intellectual biography, basically a biography by Bruce Chilton on Paul the Apostle, you know, the person who wrote like half the New Testament. Seems pretty cool right there. You have a lot of stuff here where it discusses his life and how he was connected to Jesus and how his teachings influenced both the culture of that time back 2,000 years ago up until now. So it seemed like a pretty interesting book, so I picked it up there. And the next thing I picked up, it's The Turning Point. And no, this is not Charlie Kirk's Turning Point. This isn't like that, although the title did make me think that as well. But no, this is basically like a study guide for the Bible, essentially. You know, it asks you questions about the Bible. This is by Dr. Alan Hunt. And it seems like this is specifically a study for the Gospel of John. So I wonder if he has other studies for like the other Gospels or some of the other books in general from the Bible, or a general Bible study session thing, book, whatever. So it just seemed pretty cool. It was there for basically $1, so picked it up there. And then the last thing I picked up, and really this is kind of like a thank you gift from Banana Republic, and this is basically a pen with a turkey. Happy Thanksgiving. In terms of Black Friday stuff for clothes, I did pick up 3 things. One of them was a shirt from Banana Republic. So Banana Republic, the corporation company, they gave their employees like a special discount code for this holiday season. And it's basically, hey, you could get like any shirts or pants up to about $100. I want to say you could get it for basically $1, essentially. So I picked up one of their flannel shirts that they have right now. I've already worn this, so that's why it's already kind of not crumpled up, but like it seems worn. But I picked this one up. It's a flannel shirt. I really like the design. It's this checkered green and brown pattern. I think it's one of the more versatile shirts, so I picked that up. Then I picked up 2 pants from thrifting. One of them I actually have worn right now, and it's this one. This is actually from Zara. These pants are from Zara. And let me see if I can like show you. So like that. So I picked up those pants, and I picked up a pair of jeans, which I'm pretty sure I left at my dad's house, so I can't really show them here. It's pretty funny because these pants and this jacket's from Zara. I'm pretty sure this is from H&M. So I'm not really wearing anything Banana Republic, funny enough, despite the fact that I work there. The good thing is you don't have to like exclusively wear Banana Republic. It just has to have the look of Banana Republic, whatever that's supposed to mean. I guess this is the look for today for Black Friday. So yeah, that's basically it for a haul when it comes to movies, clothes, random little pens. I decided to give everything across everything I picked up this past month and a half. That's basically it. That's basically your Black Friday haul. Definitely, I would say this is definitely my smallest Black Friday haul that I've had in a long time. I would probably say, again, I think that video that I'm going to release at the end of December or early January would explain a lot more about my movie buying habits. So yeah, that's basically it for now. Comment all that stuff down below. Let me know on your thoughts on this haul. What should I watch first? What should I read first? All your thoughts, comment all that down below. Let me know. Hopefully you guys had a blessed Thanksgiving. You know, hopefully you guys had a great time with your friends or your families, or, you know, buying stuff, sharing stuff, being there in fellowship, whatever. You know, hopefully you guys had a great time doing that. And yeah, that's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart, signing off.